All right, guys. So now with that done out of the way here, off the top's done there. The sideshow, big extravaganza week, it's out of the way. We covered a lot of that stuff too. Our whole stream this past Friday was pretty much exclusively talking about that stuff. So if you want to hear us kind of really like nerd and geek out about some little 12-inch toys, then go watch the stream from this past Friday because that's where we really broke all that stuff down. So we're gonna get into our first main topic here today, and that is with Warner Brothers actually fully committing to, well, I'm not gonna say fully committing, but they've at least announced that they are indeed looking for a black Superman now at this point. So a while back, it came out that Ta-Nehisi Coates, I think I'm pronouncing that probably wrong, but either way, I think it was pretty Ta-Nehisi Coates. I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't know. It's a very interesting name, just like John has a very interesting look. It's a very interesting name. But they have, come out and said, like, rumors kinda came, when Tennessee, was announced that he was gonna be writing, was tapped to write a Superman script for J.J. Abrams, and, Bad Robot are gonna be producing the film. It was kinda rumored at the time, but not confirmed that they were gonna be, like, doing a Black Superman story. And now it's been confirmed that they are doing that, and it's still pretty vague on everything. The only thing that really came out of this, like, around the same time was, like, someone was interviewing Michael B. Jordan and asked him, like, kinda directly, like, "Hey, like, they're supposedly looking for a black Superman, and, like, your name's come up quite a bit when, that's been brought up, so are you involved with that in any way?" And unfortunately, he said he's not. And I think that's like if anything's gonna be disappointing, that's the only disappointing thing about this. As of right now, is that Michael B. Jordan is not being looked at for it, which who knows though? Who knows where they're going? Michael B. Jordan is a fantastic actor. Like I love Michael B. Jordan. And I actually speaking of Michael B. Jordan, I just watched Without Remorse, the Tom Clancy film that's on Amazon, and everyone was saying the movie was like really bad. And it's really not that bad. Like, it's not great. It's a lot of there was nothing new and exciting or fresh. It wasn't, like, good or bad. It was if you wanna say it was bad, I would just say it's because there was, like, nothing new. It's nothing you haven't seen before, and maybe nothing that hasn't been done better. It was kinda like you know what I mean? It's like an action movie for the sake of being an action movie. There's nothing, like, too super exciting about it, and it seemed like it was just kind of there to potentially set up some other stuff, which is kind of like the way they did that was like really stupid at the very end of the movie. I'm not gonna give any spoilers just in case anybody would see it, but Michael B. Jordan was fantastic in the film, and like everyone was pretty good in the film. But I watched it and I didn't think it was all that bad. Like so, I would say if you like Michael B. Jordan and you like action movies, you should just watch it and kind of see for yourself because everyone is saying it's like dog shit, and it's not that bad. Like it's good, it's well made, but nothing really to write home about. I think Jeremy John said it best when his rating scale, like he'll say, if it's good, it's like buy it on Blu-ray or or whatever, or be a good time if you're drunk, kind of thing. And he said he wouldn't remember it in T minus like 1 day or whatever. Like that's what, like it's forgettable because there's really nothing like super great that happens in it. But I feel like that's really the best way to describe it. But nevertheless, Michael B. Jordan's great. My only thing is with this Black Superman thing, and that has me, like, really iffy about it is if they do it, like, I think it's a mistake for them just to do, like, a black Clark Kent and just, like, swap him. Like, I think they should do the Val Zod thing. They should do the, who's the other one? Can't remember his name. I don't know how I just blanked on his name because there's 2 Black Supermen in the comics already. Calvin something. Calvin Harris, not Calvin Harris, that's a DJ. I'd laugh, maybe it is Calvin Harris. It's close to Calvin Harris, I know it is. It's Kelvin or it's Calvin something. Calvin Ellis. I think it's Calvin Ellis. Either way, they should just adapt one of those, like, already pre-existing ones or make an all-new character. Like, 'cause that's the most, like in my opinion, when you just, like, swap it for the sake of swapping it or, like, is race or gender-wise, it's just lazy. Like, it's just what's the point? Like, if you wanna tell a new story, then tell a new story. Like, because 'cause it'd be really interesting to see, like, a story about a Kryptonian who isn't black or white because they're an alien, right? Like they hail from Krypton, whether he's male or female, whatever. This alien being hails from a completely different planet that has different cultures and stuff. Like racism may or may not have even been a thing on Krypton. So when he crash lands here and has the appearance of a black man in America, especially depending on what year this occurs in, like that could create a lot of very interesting character dynamics, you know what I mean? Like, he's this all-powerful, god man who's essentially here to be, like, Earth's savior, but half the world hates him just because of his skin color. You know what I mean? Like, that can set up a lot of very interesting narratives and, like, cool stuff. But that's something you would do with a new character because that's not part of Clark Kent and what Clark Kent's been about. You know what I mean? That's what kind of would bother me with it. It's like if you want to tell that like really rich story, just tell that story. You don't have to like it lessens it in like all ways because you're like it's like the only way this will work is if you say he's Clark Kent. Like, no, it'll work if you just tell a good story and like, whoever you use as the character is a good character. You know what I mean? Would you guys, like, agree with that in any sort of way, or am I talking out my ass here? Because
No,
like,
I would agree.
yeah, I don't care about, like, what color of anybody's skin is. That's not what, like, what it is. Like, if you do, like, yeah, no, you're just pathetic, dude. Like, go
Right,
do
right,
something else. Like, you're ridiculous. Like, who
right.
cares? Um so, like, I don't know, I just feel like it lessens everything if you're just like it's the same with, like, gender swapping things just for the sake of doing it, you know? But,
Yeah.
like, conversely to that, there's plenty of things that you can do where it doesn't matter. Like, in The Falcon and Winter Soldier, Carly Morgenthau. In the comics, that's a dude, it's Carl Morgenthau. But it didn't change anything. Like,
No.
it was and they weren't doing it just to, like, cram some, like, agenda in your face about it, like, they didn't say, like, girl power, the girl's stronger than the male one, like, no, it's just, like, it didn't matter in the comics whether this was a dude or a girl, and in the show, they just made it a girl, like, it didn't matter.
Right.
Like, but that's not really the same case with a lot of characters because if you're gonna do, like, a Black Clark Kent and use a lot of, like, racial themes, that's not part of that is 100% changing Clark Kent's character because that's not what Clark Kent's story was about. If you just wanted to recast him as a black man and then not have any racial themes in it, then that's different. But then at that point, what's the point? Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because then it's just I don't know, it's just, there's just really no point to it. That's why I think do something new, do something, like, exciting with it, not just doing it for the sake of doing it because it's lazy for it's lazy like writing and it's lazy for like the audience. It's like I don't know. It just bothers me.
Yeah.
And they could make it great and it could be awesome. Like I don't care about that. Like it's just like on paper it sounds like a bad idea. But what are you guys thoughts on this? You feel like similar to me or what are you guys thinking? Rick, what are you thinking? You had something to say about this before we went on cam here.
I agree with you. My question is, and it's hard to say this without sounding bad, but because of the racial tension in our country and in the world right now, it makes me wonder at least, is it like, are they only doing that to basically say like, hey, look, Superman can be black too, like, I don't know.
Are they trying to cash in
Yeah, capitalize
Exactly.
on
on
it.
what's going on?
That's exactly how yeah, that's a good way to put it. And that's just
Which
like my
which
biggest
puts
worry.
which puts a negative spin on it that shouldn't be associated with something of this magnitude.
Right. And it shouldn't.
And it's hard it's one of those things it's impossible. I think it would be impossible for the general public to ever know. I mean, unless we reach a point where somebody internally at Warner Brothers releases a memo or something commenting, where somebody is dumb enough to have said, hey, look, we've analyzed the current market trends, and hey, if we release a Black Superman movie, we show that profits will be 3 times what they would for, a traditional Superman. Like,
Right.
Right.
I don't think anybody, hopefully, although Warner Brothers with the decisions they make, you never know. But hopefully nobody's stupid enough to actually have written that memo, even if that is what they're thinking. Um, and it would be unfortunate if that's the reason they're moving forward with it. Now, if they're moving forward with it for different reasons, more altruistic reasons, then great. Like that's an important decision, and it makes this new era kind of mean something more important, and they happen to be releasing it at a opportune time. So I kind of jumped in there. Rick, did you
No,
have
no,
something else that
that
you?
basically covers it. I mean, I think it's cool. It'd be cool to see a black Superman. What was it? Who they? What other character are they having a black version of now? There was that girl.
There's Captain America.
Well, there's that, and that was
Yeah.
awesome. But no, Andy Muschietti. That video we watched where was it Supergirl?
Oh, she's Latino.
She's Latino,
Yeah.
but instead of it being like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl,
Yeah.
Sure.
So
See, and that's another thing.
Yeah.
That's a good example there too, where like there is really nothing like. Well, I don't know how they're gonna write the character or anything, but like the color of Supergirl's skin doesn't matter.
no,
Like it doesn't matter at all. Like in Supergirl, honestly, she's kind of like what is the best word for it? She's like a derivative character. You know what I mean? She's not like she's not Superman. You know, there's not like a rich lore history. You can do whatever you want with someone like Supergirl, character wise, and no one's really gonna care all that much.
no.
So like they could kind of like they could even make it like add racial themes to that, and like I don't think it would impact as many people out there. You know what I mean? Because you know like the thing is going to happen where if they announce a black Superman, you're going to have these dillweeds out there who just hate it because they're racist idiots.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and that's gonna
Like,
happen.
yeah, it's going to happen no matter what they do.
unfortunate.
Even if they make it, even if they do what they should do and like adapt Calvin Ellis or Val Zod or make a whole new character and then just have him be Superman. Like that's what they should do. But even if they do that, you're still going to have these people out there who act like that. You'll never get around it. But like it's going to be like if you want to go just with like that small niche people, they'll be even more vocal about it if they say like it's Clark Kent. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like they would be like
you're
the
just
people would
swapping skin colors at that.
yeah,
point.
they would just be because like if they really wanted to do that, like I wouldn't care in the end. I just think it's lazy for on their part. Just like this, just make them a new person. Like like I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Like it's cool enough. Like Calvin Ellis is cool. Calvin Ellis, he's like he was based on Barack Obama. He literally becomes president of the United States on his earth, and he's also Superman, and he's a black man. Like that's a cool character. Like that's
It's
a cool.
interesting.
He's already an existing character. Like why would you not just adapt that story? Like it's like I don't know. But I mean, Hollywood does make some like stupid decisions sometimes, and they just kind of go with quote unquote easy ways out a lot of times. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. But John, what's your opinion on this in the end? Like, you excited for something like this to happen? You got any hesitations?
Yeah. So I feel like I'm going to preface what I'm going to say just because I think it's important when you're discussing this stuff to just be as forthright as possible about things. And I don't think it's lost on the three of us that here we are, three white males commenting
Oh yeah.
on what is gonna happen or what it's gonna be like to see a black man or a black person cast as Superman. We all have a certain background and a certain place in society that we
You
at
froze
least for me
again.
personally. Oh, great.
I didn't
A
want you to
certain
get
place.
deep and be Mr. Freeze the whole time.
Sure. Um, we have certain life experiences and certain things that are inherently tied to our culture and our race, and that extends on down the line. No matter who you are, your life is influenced by so many factors, and sometimes to a bigger degree, depending on where you fall. Like race for African Americans and for Latinos and Oriental people, Asian Americans now. That is even more of a factor in their lives than it is for white people traditionally. So when we comment, when I talk about this stuff, I completely understand that something I say, I may not have the right frame of reference for accurately knowing or understanding how this would influence a person of color. Um, so, the only thing that I can say is come at it from like these are my honest feelings about it. If for some reason, something that I feel isn't doesn't reflect the way that that other ethnicities feel about something, I'm all for like hearing that and getting that feedback and understanding that and getting a better perspective. I think one of the things that people are afraid of nowadays is talking about race. And because of some of the things that come up, but I am a strong believer in that the only way you come to understand what these things mean to other people is by talking about them. So that's just my kind of, because like I feel when you start talking about this, you kind of run into that catch-22 of, are you being honest, and also are you looking at it from every lens that you possibly can given your experience. Um, so I think this would be great. I think it would be very cool to see a black actor cast as Superman. Um, I I personally would like them to see them use one of the established black Superman that exist in the comic books. That being said, I also understand that the most well-known version of the character is the Clark Kent character. And if they decide that the Clark Kent character being the most well-known character is able to bring that story to the broadest audience possible, that for whatever reason, if they try and present a black Superman named Val-Zod, that people will be like, "Well, Val-Zod, who's that? That's not the real Superman." Like, for whatever reason, if they feel like that will diminish from the real or the authenticity of the character, um, then that's kind of an understandable decision, I guess, from that perspective. Um, so I'm kind of torn. Like I can understand if they go the one route. I do have a preference, but it is what it is. The other part of this that you know, again, I think it's I'm probably gonna butcher his first name, but Mr. Coates, the gentleman that they've hired to write the script. We talked about this when we talked first about him being brought onto the project months ago. His one of his most well-known books is Between the World and Me. It's just an exploration of his experience growing up in America and his relationship with American society as a black man. And it's a great book. Like there's a lot of really touching moments in the book, and it helps at least provide a framework or an understanding of at least what one black man's experience was or is in American society. And I thought it was brilliantly written, beautifully written. And so I was really excited to hear him that being brought on to work on the character of Superman. And so I think he can do a brilliant job with it. And then there's this other part of me that, we've talked about multiple times on the show. Like, I love Henry Cavill. I love his Superman. I think that there's as much as the character that he's been written, that he's been given in the movies that he's starred in has had issues. That isn't None of the issues that I've had with those movies have had anything to do with Henry's portrayal of the character. And so there's this part of me that wants Henry to continue. And so then there's this part of me that wants DC to be brave and bold and stick by what they've said they're going to do and offer us a DC multiverse. Offer us different Supermen, and don't have them compete, and don't make decisions about which one gets to go forward based on how much sales go or whatever. If Ta-Nehisi Coates is writing a good quality Superman script, give him a trilogy. If he wants to make it a trilogy, give him that up front. Don't make this a competition, because then you're inherently inviting people to use race as a determination on the quality of these films, or the validity of these films. Be bold and give him, the story that he wants to tell. Um, so it's a tough thing to talk about, as far as the racial aspect of it goes. But I do think it's an important thing. Mark Bernardin, who does a podcast with Kevin Smith, um, he has said multiple times, I've heard him talk, that he feels that most comic book characters are pretty much race neutral. That you can change the race of many comic book characters, and you're not inherently changing the character. He said the one exception in his mind is the Bruce Wayne Batman character, just because of Bruce's family and their wealth and how that is inherently tied to American history and the tradition of passing wealth down from generation to generation. That's where Bruce's wealth comes from. So that's an inherently tied trait to Batman, being a traditionally white character because of that, and kind of the expectations that come along with that old money kind of sense. But other than that, he says, and I think that's honestly true. Again, you mentioned it earlier, Rob. As long as you're telling a good story, it doesn't matter. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, that's exactly that was gonna be kind of my final kind of point with it all. Because like in the end, I totally agree. Like whenever, especially a group of little white fellas like us talk about this stuff, we get looked at like, what do you know? Fair
Right.
point. It's a very fair point. But the only thing I do know is that, like, at least like my own thoughts wise, is like I don't care, like I said, what color anybody is in real life, and I don't care if you want to change the color of the comic book character or whatever. The only thing that bothers me is if, kind of like you were just saying with Mark Bernardin's point, is that I don't like it if you are if it inherently changes the character, because at that point
Mhm.
there's no point in being that character. You know what I mean? Like if it fundamentally changes the character, like either way, like even if it's for the better, it's still like, well, at that point that's no longer the character, and you kind of
It's a
just,
different
yeah,
character.
you're just
Yeah.
using it. It's like marketing at that point. Like you said, like, well, we got to make a Clark Kent because everyone knows Clark Kent. Like,
Well,
then
one
do
of the
Clark Kent. Like,
Yeah, one of it's interesting that you bring because you do have that's a good point. One of the most, I mean, I think Superman, we already have an example of Superman not changing race, but changing nationality. It's one of the most beloved Superman stories of all time, and it's Superman Red Sun. It's the story of
Mhm.
what would happen if Kal-El's ship landed in Russia instead of the United States, and then Kal-El's raised as a Russian and under this socialist communist regime. And, if they want to take the story and say, what if what if Kal-El's ship were to land in the South, in a predominantly black area of the South, and he's found by black parents, and give the spin of the Superman character from that perspective. What kind of issues does he grow up, you know, dealing with? Because those kind of issues are completely different from a white kid raised in Midwestern Kansas. Like, those there are completely different frames of references when you become an adult and you interact with the world, especially somebody on the power level of Superman. But it has been done before with great success. So there's no reason to think that this story couldn't be done well in that regard. Um, I don't believe in Red Sun that they called him Kent, did they? I think they gave him a more Russian sounding name. I can't remember exact, but regardless, I mean, it's just an example of how the story can be done in a different manner.
Yeah, which I mean, that's the thing too. Like if they, yeah, I don't think he was called Clark Kent because he was found by like Soviet Union, so he had a Russian name and
Mhm.
everything, which is like kind of like to the point, right? Like if you, it's technically a different character. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like they're saying it's like the same alien boy for like whatever, but they didn't have him drop in Russia and he's just Clark Kent over like Russian Clark Kent.
Sure.
You know what I mean? He's just, it's different. So it would actually be kind of interesting to see if they did have him even still, like if they had a black skin toned Kryptonian land with Ma and Pa Kent. You know what I mean? So now, like, you're not saying it's Clark Kent. Like, I mean, maybe you could, maybe they'd still want to name him Clark. I don't
Mark Kent.
know. But like, I like what you were kind of saying with like the what if thing. Like, if they made like it like a what if story and wanted to just do like the whole like Mom, Pa Kent, these couple of white people find the alien and he looks black, and now it's like there's all these racial themes that are going to be added to it. That's an interesting story, like I was saying off the top. Um, I just don't know if it would need to be Clark Kent at that point, though. Like, that's the
Yeah.
only thing that it's like I would find it more compelling and more interesting if you just made a new character for him. Because you know what I mean? Well, like Black Panther was like so important for more reasons, you know, to black culture in general, just because it's like the first black superhero like led film, like big one, like, and it's important. It's like literally about like African heritage, and like even if it's a fictional place, it really embraces the the African like heritage of people and everything, and it's important on like a cultural level. And if they just, I feel like it lessens it if you just use the Clark Kent name because it's popular, you know?
Hmm.
It's
Right.
like I would just like you said, it's like, well, they already have existing like black Supermen in the comics, both Val Zod and Calvin Ellis. And like I said, Calvin Ellis, I don't know much about Val Zod, but I think Val Zod, if I'm not mistaken, he like was found but was kind of like hidden from like the world. And then like, I think, in one of the stories, Superman, like Clark Kent Superman gets, like, brainwashed by Darkseid and goes, like, rogue and starts killing everybody, and then I think Lois goes and, like, finds out that, like, Val-Zod exists and, like, kinda, like, teaches him and convince him how to use his powers to stop Clark. I think that's his story. I might be getting it confused, but then like Calvin Ellis is like a completely different thing, and he's based on Barack Obama. And like both of those characters, those are both cool stories. Like they're cool in
Yeah.
their own. So
Yeah.
that's why like they're not just like changing Clark Kent's stories. Like they have their own story, you know, and it'd be really cool. Like if even if they made a whole new one, like just a whole brand new character for the screen, like that would be cool too. I just don't want them to just, I don't know, I just want them to do something good and interesting, you know, not just do it for the sake of doing it. Like I want them to do it because they have a good story to tell, you know,
Right.
and they have a
Hmm.
good character to tell the story with. Because in the end, that's all that really matters, you know.
Hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to either way. And like I said off the top, the only thing that bums me out is that it's not Michael B. Jordan. Because he would be one hell of a Superman no matter what color he is. Especially after watching in Without Remorse. 'Cause like I said, movie's not all that great, but he's great in it, man. He is so good in that
Well,
movie.
yeah,
Like,
he's great. He's great in just about everything he does.
yeah.
Obviously, Killmonger, he was fantastic. The Creed movies, he's
Mhm.
been fantastic. I even liked him in the Fantastic Four
Yeah, I mean,
movie.
even that, for sure. Uh,
But I mean, the one thing I'll say about the Michael B. Jordan story about him, I think he's came out and said he turned it down or whatever, or he wasn't interested or whatever. As we'll be talking about later with Andrew Garfield, it's sometimes best to take an actor's comments with a grain of salt because um, they may not be allowed to say what's actually going on, so they may have to cover for people or the stories that haven't been released, or things could even change over time, and they may change their mind about what they actually want to do. So
yeah.
we'll
Could be a
see.
no now, but could be a yes,
Yeah,
tomorrow. So who knows?
exactly.
We'll just have to wait and see. But guys, the question is though, you hear about this, and like we kind of said before, the news came out that Coach was going to be writing this, working with JJ a couple months ago, and it was kind of like, I don't know if it was like assumed, but it was definitely rumored that they were going to be looking for a Black Superman, and that's been confirmed. So what do you guys think about this down in the comments? Should they just, do you care either way? Like, or would you rather them do this like a Clark Kent, but tell the story with Clark Kent as a black Clark Kent? God, I can't even talk. After saying Clark Kent so much, it gets kind of difficult. Or would you rather them adapt like a Calvin Ellis or a Val Zod or just a whole brand new character in general? Let us know what you think down in the comment section below.